Welcome to Fashion, Faith, and Flair, and today's faith video is Divine 9, Women in the Bible Who Made a Difference. Today is the first video of a 9-part series of women that made a difference in the Bible that I did a lot of research on. I wanted to start with Mary Magdalene. Now, Mary Magdalene was someone that I was taught in church that was a prostitute, that Jesus healed her of 7 demons. Now, she did get healed of 7 demons, but she was not a prostitute. There is no scripture that states that she was a prostitute. So I wanted to find out, how did this myth happen? So where it started was that Pope St. Gregory the Great in 591 AD wrote a homily in which he connected Mary Magdalene's 7 demons as the 7 deadly sins, a construct in Gregory's mind. Now, a construct in his mind. And it was a useful literary tool to make a point at the time. So that myth has stayed around for centuries. So you might ask yourself, what are the 7 deadly sins? Well, I'm going to tell you. The first one is wrath or anger. Now, how many times have you in your life felt anger? I can tell you, I've felt a lot. I felt it this morning. I was having some technical difficulties and I was ticked and did not handle it well. Thank God I was by myself, so I didn't have to go make amends to anyone. But that is one of the deadly sins. Another one he mentioned was greed. Now, that's an easy one, I think, in the society that we live in. Greed is something that is prevalent, I believe, in a capitalist society. I'm not against capitalism. I'm just saying greed can happen in that type of society. There's laziness. I have experienced laziness over my life. I have wanted to, do nothing. I could sit in front of YouTube and just watch documentaries all day long if I had the opportunity. But that's not what God has made me to do. And so, I have to take care of business, which means, for example, I have to mow my lawn. It's not going to mow itself. Loading the dishwasher is not going to get loaded itself. You get the picture. The next one is pride. And they say that pride cometh before the fall. And pride is a hard one to overcome. I don't know if y'all have ever had that issue with pride, but when you have to make an amends to someone, you have to humbly go to someone. When you have done something wrong, you have to make an amends to someone. You got to set your pride aside and tell them, hey, I was wrong, and then not do it again, whatever it was. Another one is lust. Now, that's the one that got labeled on Mary Magdalene, and I'll go over that in a minute. There's envy. Now, have you ever been envious of someone? Compare yourself to someone, that'll get you into envy right away. So it's not one that really, I don't feel like I suffer from that, because it's a good way to be depressed. If you start comparing yourself to people and then wish you were like someone else. I mean, if I were to sit there and tell God, I wish I was taller, or my ears weren't so big, or, I struggle with an addiction of food. He made me the way I am. And of course, I can't say that he made me into someone who struggles with food, that it's, his fault. That I have to take a lot of responsibility with that, but I'm getting off on a tangent, which leads me to the last sin of gluttony. Now, that one I can really relate to, because I have spent a lot of my life abusing food and using it as a god and as a drug. And, you don't get yourself to be over 300 pounds with not having an issue surrounding that one. But that's not what this video is about. The one that she was the one that she was basically labeled as was the big S, which of course stands for sex. And Pope Gregory's words stuck in church history. The damage was done, And that's how the lie that she was a prostitute had been perpetrated at the time, and how it's gone down century after century. Mary Magdalene had a prominent role in the Bible. She was mentioned 12 times. She, as I stated before, was healed of 7 demons by Jesus. She financially supported his ministry. She never left Jesus. And this is what I admire about her more than anything, was when it got tough, when all the disciples were hiding, she was one person that stayed with him till the very end. When he was crucified and died of a horrific death, she was there with John, and she was there with Jesus's mother, Mary. And I can't even imagine having to watch him go through that horrible pain. And it was dangerous. I mean, the rest of the disciples were hiding, and so she was there with him till the end. She cared about him. You know, they call it Good Friday, and I don't like that, because I realize we get to the resurrection, and of course we celebrate the resurrection, but he went through a lot of pain and humiliation, and it's not Good Friday to me. But again, I'm getting off on a tangent. Let's stay with Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene was with him. She even, with the culture that they lived in, she went to go make sure his body was properly cared for after he died, after the Sabbath. And she was the first one he showed himself to. That is amazing. Now, she told the disciples of what she saw, and they didn't believe her. They did not believe her. Now, I find it interesting that Jesus showed himself to a woman in a time where women had no agency, and there she was, and he was telling her about the good news of his resurrection. So, I mean, well, I'm putting some words there, but the fact that she was told to go tell the disciples, and she did, and they had to go check it out for themselves. Now, keep in mind, these were men that were hiding, because, it's turbulent times with the Roman government. But there was Mary Magdalene, brave and loyal. And so I just find it interesting that church history has tried to diminish her role and her importance in the Bible. So I am just excited about the rest of this video series. Now, you may be surprised some of the women that I have chosen. I'll give you a hint to the next video. I did a study on Queen Vashti. Now, I'm going to tell you that I have a joke because I couldn't pronounce her name correctly. And of course, my sister, who was a stand-up comedian in real life, I was calling her Queen Vashti. I go, that's something that, I have to catch myself. Her name's Queen Vashti. Now, some people are like, well, why would you choose Queen Vashti? Well, there's a good reason for it. And some people have been offended that I have studied her, and I think she had a prominent role in her time. Of course, it led to Queen Esther being queen. And anyway, that's the next video. So I'll stop it at this. I hope you have a fabulous, fashionable, fantastic day, and full of peace and joy.